BITF stock is a data center company that we've been following for the last few months. You can see they've gotten some momentum recently, seeing them start to get up into new levels. And we're going to be covering them today as a stock that we've been investing in pretty consistently. Haven't seen any major movements on the stock recently as they've kind of pulled back. In fact, we were in a trade with them and we ended up losing the trade recently. And so kind of what we're watching here though is this overall trend, and I think I may be entering some long-term positions because with AI developments right now, one of the biggest progressors is AI. Okay, and data centers are powering a lot of that progression. And so BITF is a company that has been specializing primarily in the past on Bitcoin integrations and Bitcoin mining. And now they're starting to build infrastructure targeted at not just Bitcoin, but for AI purposes. So take a look at Bitfarms. This is the company here, growing the future of digital infrastructure. You can see that they are having positioning for power, and they are building different data centers. When you look at their press room, it looks quite interesting. They got some CoinDesk articles, power mining, crypto world articles you'd want to see for investors. I'd like to see directly from the source, press releases. Let's see what they got there. Bitfarms announces closing of $500 million of convertible senior notes. Opportunistic capital for general corporate purposes. Bitfarms used cash on hand to purchase capped calls to offset economic dilution up to a cap of 125% premium to the last reported sale price of Bitfarms. These are common shares. Then about 5 days before that, another 500 million. And then about a day before that, 300 million in convertible notes. Bitfarms announced his retirement of Jeff Lucas, their CFO, just before all of those financing projects. And then you got another here, a $300 million facility to fund phase 1 of Panther Creek data center development, with energization expected year end of 2026, on track to break ground on Panther Creek in Q4 of 2025. Okay, so if you look at, they got a former AWS executive as well working with them. And so data centers are their focus. If we look at where they're primarily working, you can take a look at their data center portfolio. They're in South America and in North America. Now, it says data centers, right? That's what we're seeing. I think at one point these were just Bitcoin mining facilities, if I'm not mistaken. They're called Bitfarms, so I think that was their main purpose. But you can see they have quite a few data centers here. And these are maybe not super state of the art if they've been around for a while. But what you would want to see is that they are able to capitalize on this. You can see some maybe hydroelectric, some water there powering Panther Creek. Looks that way. Some hydroelectric energy to help them with the incorporation of AI. So if you look at their portfolio, you got a lot of data centers. Okay, what does it look like from a partner perspective? Haven't seen a whole lot. We've seen some news. Again, AWS executive. They got Bitfarms on mining and things like that. I haven't seen any direct partnerships with AI companies too much. And I think that's going to be one of their catalysts, because if you look at BITF in their financials here, and before we do, just to kind of look at this again in the chart, what we're identifying too, and we've kind of jumped out and in, and it's hasn't been profitable the last week, but we've had some success in the data center markets recently. We've got some APLD positions there that are really crushing it, up about 137%. And so we're looking for something with BITF, something like this, kind of a bounce, a continuation up into that $5.50 range. Here, it's about a 27% margin for profit. kind of a continuation of the trend, something like this, between 20 to 35% profit. So when I was first getting started investing in data centers, I always would ask, what companies are they partnered with? Who are they investing with? But what I realized was, you know, that is a factor. You look at APLD, you see they're partnered with CoreWeave or NVIDIA or Supermicro Computer. Those are factors. We don't really see that with BITF, okay? But one thing that I realized is, a lot of times if they're having the infrastructure built, the companies come along. Like when we were looking at APLD before all the CoreWeave deals, um, that was before they surged, and we were saying they're building data centers. Like, this is big demand. We're probably going to see more. And then, boom, out of nowhere, $7 billion deal. Because rather than having a big, let's say, AI company say, we're going to build a new data center, BITF basically is here and they're like, we already have data centers. Look at all of our data centers that, we're just looking at. Look at all these. Hey, want to buy a data center? Hey, need that computing power? Microsoft, need that computing power? Small hyperscaler AI company? That's something to think about. And I could say the same is true for our company. This is our software right here, okay, where we're doing analysis. We call this the machine. And I could search any stock. Let's do BITF. One thing that we've developed, we have Grok and OpenAI and Claude. So I could search BITF here on OpenAI, and as you can see, it's pulling the financials and it's doing all this. I would be interested personally, as a person that owns an AI company, in contacting a company like Bitfarms and saying, hey, can we have this building right here for your racking systems and your power over in Washington? And oh yeah, can we get one over on the other side of the country as well? So one in Washington, one in another country. Why? Because when we're doing analysis here, we're looking to use AI as best we can. And so you can see some of the projections here on Bitfarms are, you can see over the next day, it's projected to go down. And this is kind of why we ended up selling out, actually. We were in it and it was projecting one day down. I said, I don't really want to ride that initial dip. And then I think 1 month, see 1 week was looking bullish up to that 440 range. Next 3 months looks bullish as well. And then the next 6 months looks bullish up into that $5, close to that $5 range. And then above that $5 price point over the next year, according to our projections here with OpenAI. And so that kind of considers the insider trading. It considers the news, the market. We got a trend, the technical analysis being considered here. But ultimately, you got the analysis here. And I would imagine we're going to use more AI too. So I'm like, as a small AI company, we would consider contacting a company like Bitfarms. Say, hey, do you guys have extra computing power? And they may say, yeah, we do, because they see more value in potentially powering AI as opposed to mining Bitcoin. And that can be very powerful. Now, income statement wise, quarterly, they've been seeing increases in revenue. So in the financials, they, again, quarterly up from about 40 million a quarter to now 77 million a quarter and increasing. And the revenue has also seen some increases. What we would look for a company like BITF is that not only are they getting 87% increase in revenue, the net income is also increasing. And that's what you don't see. Their net income is down. So while their income's increasing, their net income is still negative. So really not too good there. But to see them up to almost 100 million in the quarter is good, because now they're on track to do over 300 million in the year, which would be nearly a little bit less than double of last year's revenue. So really starting to increase the revenue there. You see that there. But the balance sheet is where they shine too. If you look annually, they've been increasing on their balance sheet. They've gotten up quarterly here. You can see their assets at the beginning of 2024 or summer were at $500 million. Now they're up to about 827 million, almost $1 billion, and total liabilities are up to 165. So they've really started to compound on the asset side, almost $1 billion in assets for the company. which with a market cap of just 3.3 billion Canadian puts them at a position to be able to grow pretty consistently given their current financials. And so with that being said, we'd see them again, we're kind of targeting these levels. Right now, I'm in Argentina, and I'm in Buenos Aires for the next few. As we traveled here, I'm normally in California. I'm from Northern California. And what we were looking for while we're on this trip is to really stay up to date with all of the data centers, because the data center market, along with the robotics market, is moving extremely fast. Same thing with semiconductors, but really the robotics and the data center market, and honestly, the quantum market's moving quick. But we're watching this data center market because so far, every quarter, there's been more demand for computing power, and data centers are seeing more of a growth opportunity. And so, this $4.30 stock, we're looking at it now. It's possible we're finding it early, kind of similar to how we found APLD. When we first found APLD, before they were over $10 billion market cap that they're at now, they were just around $1 billion market cap. And we're saying, hey, they're kind of increasing some revenues. They're seeing their assets go up, and they signed some deals. Why don't they go up? And APLD ended up going from $3-4 a share up to around 35 or 40 bucks a share. And so it's kind of similar position here. We see Bitfarms. Applied Digital actually used to be called Applied Blockchain. They were a blockchain Bitcoin mining type company and infrastructure, and they've kind of pivoted to the AI data centers. And so BITF, Bitfarms, was also in that kind of blockchain Bitcoin mining. They're kind of pivoting more into the AI compute. And you see them here, with this $4.30 price range and just continued uptrend, more market cap builds. Just a moment ago, we saw them around $6.50. It's not a projection to say that they've been there, but based on the AI projections we got from the machine, which, by the way, if you'd like to access the machine, it's the first link in the description below to go have a look there, then we would be led to believe that this is a greater trend we're going to see continue. So kind of watching the nearest support, that rising support around $4.30, kind of where they're at right now. See that they hold there, if not nearest support level around 375. And then hopefully, again, not hopefully, but based on what we're seeing with the trend, I would expect they're going to go up into these levels, that $5 to $7 range. So that's kind of what we're watching with BITF. But again, not the best trades. Kind of saw them sell off a little bit into this week from the 27th. They kind of sold down. Not really the best entry yesterday. And luckily, we were able to save it with some other trades we made today, which was good towards the end of the day. Was it in our live session? We trade every single day live, which I love to do. If you ever want to be there, it's the second link below for Stock Meet. We'll be there at Market Open tomorrow. And you can tune on in live and get a free t-shirt when you sign up. I'll send it over to you. Would love to send you a free t-shirt. But over in BITF, what we had going was, we're trading it and it hit our stop. We got back in and it hit our stop. So according to plan, but not desirable. So losing like 1%, 1% or 2%, 2%, versus the 10 to 15 or 20% that we were going for each time. And I was considering even maybe entering into some longer term positions with BITF to be more risk tolerant. Rather than doing that, we ended up going over, I think we did some options today. I have some long-term positions in Quantum, which have been doing good, but we decided to enter a little bit of a short position to hedge in case downside kicked in, as Nvidia said they're aggressively jumping into the quantum market, which could really cause other quantum stocks to sell off. And then also government shutdown means no government funding for quantum right now. And so we saw a little bit of a downward pressure, and I did enter a put here on Rigetti for a moment towards the end of the day. Just a small put there. It's 13 contracts. We made about $286 profit. That was just in the last 1 or 2 hours of the day. But I was kind of looking at this, seeing if we were able to see any pattern, because potentially, pretty far out. It's not very high risk, but looking for something into that $3 to $4 range. Looking for a potential $1,000 to $2,000 profit if we can kind of shape it up there, but we'll probably move a stop up there in the near term. But anyway, that's kind of the market pulse right now as far as the data center market goes. We're quite bullish. You might see pullbacks here and there, but tech continues to rally despite government shutdown, although government shutdown can hit the defense market, which we didn't see them hit today. In fact, CTM jumped 10%. Big Bear AI was holding just around $7 a share. They were doing okay today, but still not surging, these AI defense stocks, because the government shut down, kind of waiting for that to play out, and a rate cut, which would most likely put the market in a more explosive position rather than this kind of consolidation we've seen the past few days. But we'll see if any more opportunities present themselves tomorrow at market open. If you want to tune on in, it's the second link in the description. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Comment your thoughts down below on BITF. I hear you guys say BITF this, APLD, Wolf stock. Have you seen Iran? You know, we're looking at quite a few data center stocks. Which one are your favorites and which ones are you watching right now? I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.